Okay, so welcome back to Oliver's Greenhouse. I wasn't intending on making a video today. I'm actually in the process of editing one, getting one ready for you. I was at work today. I've got a friend who I know watches my videos. She works in the greenhouse at Exbury Gardens, and she looks after an incredible collection of nerines. It's quite gobsmacking, and after 5 hours of writing reports, it was time for a break, so I took a wander up to the greenhouse to have a look. There's also lots of cymbidiums in there. She does a fantastic job with her plants. I'm sure she's massively underappreciated, so just a big bit of recognition, Emma, if you're watching this. A little while, they've got some, apart from the cymbidiums, there's a few other plants. There's a couple of Dendrobiums which are growing there. These are old plants, they've been there a long time, or they've been in her care for quite some time. There's a nobile orchid, which is sort of like just about plugging along, and there's a Dendrobium kingianum. Now, we've spoken about this orchid. I've spoken with this person about this orchid on a number of occasions, and so she's offered me some divisions. I was looking at the plant up there, and I thought to myself, I might take her up on the option, on the offer. So I took a few keikis off from lower down. I know this is quite a prolific orchid and seems to be able to survive a reasonably wide range of, it's almost a weed. It can really put up with a range of conditions. It's relatively easy to provide the conditions it requires. So I took off a few keikis. They don't have many roots on them, but I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. So what I did is I thought I'd pot them up. The plant goes into quarantine for a couple of months whilst I check there's nothing on it before it goes into the greenhouse. And so what I thought is just do a quick potting up video, really. Now, this is a lithophytic orchid. That seems to be sort of a common theme in my videos recently at the moment. So it's a lithophytic orchid from Australia, specifically Western Australia, I think originally, but now it's widely planted. It can put up with extremely high temperatures, so a lot of people plant it in their garden in Australia as a garden plant, and it produces lovely sort of purple flowers, which it produces in a great profusion. It also readily makes a large number of keikis. There's one on the end here, which will probably have to come off at some point. So a very easy to cultivate orchid. Because it's lithophytic, what we're going to do is it obviously grows on rocks, so it likes a sort of a rocky mixture. So what I've got is I've got some Hydroleca in here, some clean Hydroleca balls, and there's a little bit of leftover small grade orchid potting media and some perlite left over from last night's video, and I'm just going to be putting in a small amount of sphagnum moss. So it's going to be a very rocky, free draining mix, and I'm just going to pop it into this pot, this little pot over here, because the trouble is it hasn't got many roots, so it's going to, keeping it upright is going to be a real issue, I think. So I'm just going to make a horrible noise and sort of mix this in. We're going to have to sort of feed it in piecemeal around the plant. I'll hold it in the pot and then we'll pack that in there. I've bought cane and a couple of clips. I've got these just lying around. Most people who have orchids do. I don't like them. I like to take them out and let the plant self-support itself. If there's enough wind in the greenhouse, the flower stems will be strong enough. They build up a tolerance to movement anyway, so I tend to get rid of them. But in this instance, it's going to be really useful. So what I'll do is I was going to put it into this little plastic pot because I think it's going to retain a little bit more moisture. I don't really want this thing drying out because it hasn't got many roots, as we're going to see in a minute, and I want it to have the best chance of encouraging it to grow some more. So what I'll move that out of the way and we'll have a look at the actual orchid itself. So to make do, I've just got a bit of toilet roll on here and an old plastic bag just to keep it moist throughout the day or on the journey home. Just unwrap this. You'll see how little, what little roots it's actually got on it. It's got hardly anything, but I don't think it's going to be a major issue for it. From what I've read about them, they're pretty robust orchids and they can put up with a lot of mucking about. So these are what I've come away with. So this stem here's got one little root coming out of it, another couple emerging just there. So we'll hold him in quite close to the pot like this. This has got a couple of roots on it. This is where it sort of came off the plant. That's a bit of toilet roll. So we'll hold him in there like that. And this piece here has got 3 pseudo bulbs or canes which are attached very loosely. Oh, it's just come off. That was just a stem, so these are little keikis here as well. So what I'll do is I'll arrange them in the pot, something like this. Just pinch them together with my finger and thumb like that, and then we'll put the potting media in around them, and then eventually afterwards this spike to hold it in place. So hopefully you can see that. Let's move this rubbish out of the way, and you'll be able to see what's going on. In fact, I'm going to move you so you're even closer. Okay, so that should be decidedly better. You should be able to see everything relatively easily now. I'm just going to put some of the Hydroleca and sphagnum moss mix into the bottom of here, just to weight it down so we get the depth of the plants. You don't want to plant them too deep, otherwise, I mean, they're unlikely to rot in this mix because it's just going to be so free draining. But still, best not run the risk. So it's probably about the right depth now. Let's have a little, no, a little bit more, a little bit more. There we go. Just push that down gently in there. Okay. So, try and get all of the pseudo bulbs lined up so they're roughly the right height. Pop that in there like that. It's very tricky. All fingers and thumbs, like the video I made last night. All fingers and thumbs. I'm going to restrict your vision a little bit here as I just feed that in around that side. Turning into my dad making that noise. How is it we will inevitably end up like our fathers? It's not a bad thing, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it just seems to... We always end up turning into our parents, whether we like it or not. Just going to thumb that in just very gently there. So, out of the pseudo bulbs we've got some in there with some little establishing roots that we're probably going to do okay. The big one up here, debatable. It's got one root on it. Are we going to be able to keep it humid enough? We'll have to wait and see. In the wild, these things can tolerate drought quite well. So, fingers crossed. Put that in there. So, there we about have it. Bring him up so you can have a little look at him. Hopefully the camera will want to focus on that. So you can see the Hydroleca is in there. It's actually quite firm. I can sort of wobble it around without too much of an issue. And the plant's sort of self-supporting, so fingers crossed. I'm just thinking about aspect. Now these plants like it quite bright, so they like good light. Which I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be able to offer it in the house because it's not going in the greenhouse. Like I said, it's come from a big greenhouse, like massive glass house where there could potentially be pests, like mealybugs or aphids or anything like that. Which this time of year when the greenhouse is all wrapped up under cover, the last thing you want is a major infestation of something or other. So what I'll do is I'll be spraying this with neem oil, just give it a good coating all over. In fact, we can probably do that now. Okay, so if you don't already know about neem oil, which I've got in here, cold pressed neem oil and RO water is all in there. A little tiny drop of soap just to get it to get the oil to sort of separate out a little bit. If you don't know about neem oil yet, find out about neem oil, because if you grow plants, even in the garden, it is an absolute godsend. It is amazing stuff. It helps me with numerous pests and diseases. What it does is it causes the insect to, well, basically stop feeding, stop reproducing, and the insects actually just basically starve to death. So, and scientists aren't entirely sure how the plant does this, or the active compound, because you need to get the cold pressed stuff. So it's the sap of the neem tree, basically, which we use. It smells like onions, or I think it smells like onions. It's actually, I don't think it's that unpleasant to smell. And you just give the plant a good dosing of it with that, and like I said, it really interferes with like on a hormonal level with the insects it comes into contact with. And I spray everything in the greenhouse with this stuff. You don't have to be afraid of it. I put about I don't know how much I put in there. I probably put 2 ml in this 0.5 litre spray bottle. Just labelled it up with neem oil on there, and that sits in the greenhouse. And just in passing, if I notice anything, or once sort of every 2 weeks, I'll just give the plants a spray, just out of habit basically. And I don't have any problems at all with aphids or anything in there, so yeah, can't recommend it enough. Find out about it. So this has been Dendrobium kingianum. Will it survive? Will it not? It hasn't got many roots. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to do an update in a couple of weeks, and we'll see if it's still looking as fresh and as plump as it is now. So remember, if you like these videos and you want to see more, don't forget to give us a like, and if you feel like it, subscribe. Thanks for watching.